I walked the aisles till morning. 2 a.m. rules in a 24-hour grocery. I didn't come for groceries. I came to stop guessing. At 2:07 a.m., the only store in our neighborhood that never sleeps feels like a quiet machine that forgives the human race in small, measurable ways. The freezers hum like polite submarines. The lights hold steady without bragging, and the automatic doors breathe like they believe in you more than you deserve. The floor smells faintly of citrus cleanser and decisions. I pushed a cart that didn't judge, and let it be louder than the part of my brain that rehearses arguments with empty rooms. My name is Tyler. I make roadmaps for a living, slides that pretend tomorrow is trainable. For months my wife, Mara, and I have been living like competent neighbors, respectful, coordinated, informative. Our fights retired themselves. What lingered was whether decent, repeatable, not worth reporting. We were so careful not to spill anything that we forgot how to drink. At 12:38 she texted, "We're still loading the truck, might crash on the office couch. Don't wait up." Not a lie. A hallway. I have walked down enough hallways to know the paint starts to look like a point of view if you stare long enough. I parked in the fluorescent pasture, stepped through the doors, and let the heat lamps over the rotisserie chickens announce that the world still contained comforts that couldn't pretend to be noble. The night manager stood at the customer service desk with a ledger and the posture of someone who has rendered a verdict on chaos and found it convertible into inventory. Her name tag said SONIA. When our eyes met, she gave the smallest nod, permission to be temporary. I took a basket for show and wandered the aisles. There is a holiness to alphabetized soup at this hour. It says things can be arranged. A cardboard display offered family-size versions of problems I hoped not to have. The fruit section performed sunrise without apologizing. I weighed nothing and everything in the palm of my hand. He came in through the produce doors with a coil of gaffer tape sticking out of a tote and the tired smile of a man who knows how to carry tables without describing it. Noah, operations lead on Mara's team. I recognized the hoodie with our nonprofit's logo and the way he looked at corners like they were asking to be solved. He saw me. I saw him. Neither of us pretended the misting system over the lettuce was louder than recognition. "Ty," he said, lifting 2 fingers like he was trying to be small in a place that wanted to be helpful. "Couldn't sleep or didn't try?" "Didn't want to guess," I said. "The soup and I have an arrangement." He smiled, relief without triumph. "We finished the south wall," he said. "Your wife is asleep under a banner that says we live together. The banner is not a blanket, but it's auditioning. She told me to go home. I told her I'd rather come where the lights make sense." He placed the tote in his cart as if to prove it wasn't a weapon. "You mind if I walk a lap I don't need?" "I mind trials after 2, I said. "Do whatever else the store allows." We walked past cereal that believed in cartoons and coffee that believed in mornings. The speaker overhead whispered a song older than our worries. At the end of the aisle, Sonia was stacking paper towels into a color-coded fortress. "You two need anything?" she asked. Not nosy, just competent. "Policy reminder," Noah said, pointing to a handwritten sign near the desk. "No verdicts after 2. Come back 89 with breakfast." "Store policy. Life policy," Sonia said. "After 2, I only fix what I can prove and show people where the soup lives." "Deal," I said. "Could you also show me where the invitations live?" "In aisle 6, she said dryly. "But we're out, try your phone." We smiled like civilians in the presence of a helpful government and moved on. At the end of aisle 5, Noah stopped near the peanut butter and studied the jars as if they were auditioning for a moral. "Do you two do rules?" he asked. "Not chores. The kind that tell you where to stand when the stagehands are tired and the lights are honest." We used to, I said. Vows more or less. Lately, warranty cards. Print new ones on a receipt, he said, and tore a blank strip from the roll that Sonia kept for mistakes. He handed it to me with a pen that had belonged to too many clipboards to be sentimental. Before daylight talks you into pretending you remember. I wrote on the back of the receipt, like the barcodes were listening. If a night lights you up, invite me while you're lacing your shoes. I'll come if I can. If I can't, I won't turn your light into a report. No photogenic secrets. Nothing we'd enjoy telling better without each other in the story. Touch in daylight every day. Even just a wrist at the sink, a forehead in the hallway, a shoulder while the kettle thinks it matters. Right of reserve. When the voice wants to climb, step back and read the shelf label before you rename the problem. If either of us starts wanting to be wanted somewhere else, say it while it's small, not after it has luggage. NB. Rules are tools, not weapons. Noah read without gratting. Add eat before you try to win, he said. At this hour, sugar is better law than pride. Donuts before weapons, I asked. Or soup before speeches, he said, nodding toward the hot bar where something homely refused to be dramatic. My phone rattled against the cart handle face up. Mara, half asleep here, don't drive, breakfast. Another bubble, honest as a door left open on purpose. Come see the floor at 8, we'll pull tape together. Relief didn't throw confetti. It moved beams to better places. Good, Noah asked, operational, not curious. Better, I said, she invited. We bred a small ritual over the next 20 minutes. He fetched 2 bananas and a box of muffin civilization keeps at the register. I returned a triumphant jar of ordinary jelly as though I'd hunted it. Sonia rang us up and ignored the hour like a professional. She slid a styrofoam cup of store coffee toward me with the reverence of a decent court clerk. Mercy, she said. On the house. No verdicts before sunrise. We sat at the tiny table near the pharmacy window and ate like people who'd been taught that truce prefers carbohydrates. Noah said, "You okay?" "I'm not worse," I said. "We have tape to outwit." He nodded, shouldered the tote, and extended his hand. The handshake had the weight of someone who knows where weight goes. "Tell the banner it tried," he said, and left the automatic doors like he believed in them. I put the receipt in my pocket like a treaty written by a smaller, kinder government, and drove home to a fridge that had been behaving like a judge. I taped the rules under the magnet shaped like a boat we bought one summer we didn't ruin. I drew a grid on the back and filled one box labeled wrist because completion, when honest, is a tiny democracy you can win without applause. At 7:55, the gym smelled like lemons and possibility. Blue tape sulked across the floor in lines that had forgotten why they'd been so sure of themselves. Mara stood by the door with 2 coffees, and the face she wears when the next hour will include repetitive labor and small victories. Her hair decided to be useful. She handed me the cup marked black because habit is a mercy. "Breakfast," she said. "Grocery," I said, and offered the receipt like a patent for kindness. She read it with the look she reserves for drafts that want to live, and the ruthlessness she uses on anything that wastes volunteers' time. "No verdicts after 2, she said, grinning into her cup. "That smells like Noah." "Credit him," I said, "and Sonia's pen." She folded the receipt and tucked it into her hoodie pocket like a passport. "Help me pull the tape," she said. "If that's not an invitation, revoke my nouns." We got on our knees and began to peel. Tape lifted with grudges. We pretended not to hear grudges that didn't change outcomes. A volunteer named Delia asked whether to coil cords left-handed or right. Mara answered, Whatever future you likes to remember, and showed her. Noah arrived with a bakery box because civilization. He set it on a table and said, "Eat before speeches," and no one argued because donuts have better rhetoric than pride. "Do we make a pastry rule?" Mara asked. "Only eat them before we try to win," I said. "After that, they're apologies." "Strategy it is," she said, and bit like a leader. Work, when believed in, behaves. The tape learned to be humble. The lines on the floor decided to mean what they were told. When a knot misbehaved, Mara looked at it until it remembered it was line and not plot. Noah moved through the gym like humane logistics. The morning chose to forgive us. During a lull, Mara bumped my shoulder with hers. "Let's admit something while it can still fit in one sentence," she said. "Okay." "We got polite," she said. "I want to get exact." "Exact is my favorite weather," I said. "I pledge wrist and invitation." "I pledge invitation, not subpoena," she said. "When I text come, I mean stand next to me while I do the thing I chose, not rescue me from consequences. When you text come, I will arrive without a gavel." "Deal," I said. "Right of reserve 2, read the label before renaming the problem, and no photogenic secrets." She touched my wrist, the daylight version, and said, "Daylight." I said daylight, and Noah, passing with a coil of caution tape, said daylight, in a tone that refused to get religious. We closed with fewer mishaps than forecast and more gratitude than scheduled. In the car, Mara taped the receipt to the dashboard with blue painter's tape, which is our staff of life. At home, we moved it to the fridge under the boat magnet, where faith goes when it wants to avoid adjectives. I colored a second square on the grid, invite while lacing, and missed one the next day and told the truth about why. The grid likes honesty more than completion. That week we argued at 3 in the afternoon like citizens and split a donut like a treaty at 4. On Thursday, I closed my laptop at 10 because the wrist rule refuses to enforce itself. On Friday, Mara texted, "Come," and I held a door for 14 minutes while a line of people who weren't me had their burdens made lighter by seriousness. And I called that love instead of martyrdom because I am trying to name things before the weather names them for me. Some nights still try to split. When they do, I drive to the store and walk the aisles until the soup reorders the cosmos. Sonia taps the no verdicts sign with her pen and asks if the rules are holding. When I say yes with an asterisk, she raises both eyebrows like a librarian who has seen every chapter and still believes in paper. If Noah wanders in, we compare knots and policies like men who have decided maintenance is the love language nobody writes songs about. If you came for scandal, I owe you a worse grocery and better gossip. Here, what I have instead: a receipt with 6 lines, a floor that forgave tape, a manager who knows the difference between a jam and a crisis, and 2 people who decided the opposite of a secret isn't a confession, it's an invitation. The rest is upkeep. Donuts before weapons, no verdicts after 2, hands steady on tape and doors, and a wrist touched every day in daylight. The exact moment a life decides to stay where it's wanted.